On today's episode of Watch J Ergo, let's figure out what's going on with my free Volvo XC90. What is going on, guys? I'm Watch J Ergo, and today I am here with my 2001 Volvo XC90. It's one of those years, I think, one of the very first years of the XC90 in America. This one is powered by the twin-turbo T6 engine with a questionable transmission behind it, but that's not the problem with this car. This car, from what I've been told, leaks all of its coolant out if you fill it up. So now that it's sitting here, we have taken the Ortho Home Defense from the Audi S4. It's done a great job. It's killed most of the ants. And sprayed this down. So if you look right over here, there are ants everywhere. You can see that we had a complete ant elimination event here. That's a AEE, and it worked out great. That was just one treatment, and I think the ants are now dead inside the Volvo, which is awesome. Josh just grabbed it and sprayed it like crazy all the way around all the door sills, and now they're just laying everywhere, and I don't see them crawling around. Calling that a win. Chalking that up in the win column. So I need to move this thing. We got to get it on the lift. The battery is completely dead. It won't even start on two jump packs. Two jump packs. Obviously the battery's still in line. Not an ideal setup, but we tried that when we had to move it last time because it was an emergency. Now, today, let's put a battery in it, get it moved over to the lift, fill it up with some coolant, and find out where this leak is coming from. If I can fix it cheap, we have a ton to gain. Obviously, we're already way ahead after selling the Lexus and getting this for free. So if I can make like $7,000 on the free Volvo, we are trading way up. I'd be happy to trade this for whatever Ferrari you guys might have laying around, which would skip all the steps in between from I bought a cheap KTM that was stolen to a Ferrari in just 4 trades or something like that. So first of all, let's see what the battery is. It looks like an H6 LN3 48 series, I would assume, and it's from 2016, so it makes sense that it's bad, and I just need 2 tins to pull the battery terminals off. Let's grab some wrenches. I think they're all over here on the Bondo Express. Run to O'Reilly's, swap out a battery, and come back ready to move this thing. Should start right up. We have arrived. New battery acquired. A 48 series, as we suspected. And we're back now with more super starting power. The battery goes this way, positive towards the driver's side. Let's move the negative cable out of the way. And the way this thing goes in is kind of interesting. I know it's very dark back here, but the battery goes in this tray and then locks this way. You push it towards the driver's side, and then it has a little lock that bolts in right there. And then it has this thing that goes right here. It took me a while to figure all this out because obviously everything was already apart when I showed up. So it looks like the long bolts go in that, and the short bolt goes in the lower hole down here. So let's see if we can make that start. It does look like we'll be able to do that. And we can hook this thing back up. Yep, car's alive. That's much better. Battery's all buttoned up. Let's see if this thing will get us where we need it to go. Starts right up now. Of course it does. Just a leisurely drive through the shop, no big deal. And we made it where it needed to go. Wonder if the AC is working, because the E-fan is doing its post run. Okay, let's do this. What we're gonna do is simply make a mess and see where the water comes out. I know I could probably pressurize it, but that's gonna be tough to find the leak because you could just listen. So we're just gonna fill this thing with water, and then we're gonna see where the water comes out. There goes the first gallon. I don't hear any water hitting the floor yet. Oh, water hitting the floor. Going up. It almost looks like this might be a hose. Let's pull the underbody tray off of here, see if that helps me find this a little better, since the water is kind of jogging over and coming out of the drain hole. I don't know if it'll let me see any better than I can right now, but it does kind of seem like it's just a hose. So we have more water coming out over here though, which is a little sketchy. multiple water leaks on this engine. Let's lower it back down, pour a bunch more water in it, and see what we find on round 2. And if that doesn't work, we'll get underneath, use a ladder to dump it in, and then run back down the ladder and start checking again. While we're at it, the strut tower brace is coming off too, so I can see what's going on. Of course, there was a leak over here, which I would suspect is a broken coolant reservoir. That would just make sense. And it was just in this vicinity. We couldn't really see where it was coming from. And then of course over there, we found nothing. So we're just gonna fill this thing back up. And now with the strut tower bar off, we should be able to see where this is coming out. Oh, there it is. It's this heater core hose. The water's just pouring out of that line. I really hope that's all this is. Wouldn't that be amazing if this $50 hose is the whole problem with the car? Well, I'm still looking into parts for the Volvo, but as you can see, watching a little Bite My Bits up here on the wall, and he's got his PlexAmp 55-inch TV in that thumbnail right there.
Touchscreen.
Look who's here. So,
what's up, guys?
Jason is here, and he came by because he has a house full of giant old tech, and he has this 55-inch ELO touchscreen on a stand. The one from that video, he was like, do you want it? And I was like, yeah, I want it.
A little bit of pill porn there.
Ooh. Oh, there's a hair. Throw it away.
Blame it on the dog.
Scrap the project.
You got a sledgehammer?
I do. It's right by. Anyway, you guys have been asking for a whiteboard in the videos. I've been looking. It's really, really, really hard to buy whiteboards because you do not go to Office Max and buy a whiteboard. You buy those $1,500 whiteboards on wheels that a school would have.
And I'm gonna run it with a miniature. Well, you're gonna run it with a miniature PC, possible.
Miniature PC, a little kind of a nuck.
By 3.
We're gonna set up probably just the Windows whiteboard application.
Yeah.
And there you go. That'll be our whiteboard for projects.
Perfect.
Because I couldn't actually find a whiteboard that was any good after months of searching. I just keep finding little ones on wheels, and I need an 8-foot one on wheels, like
rolls.
a classroom. Yeah, this is perfect.
This is perfect, I think, for a whiteboard.
Yep, I love it. So we'll hide some power up in the back and put that PC on there, tie up all the cables, and should have a mobile whiteboard for projects with tabs.
With tabs?
We could use OneNote, and then I can see my project status wherever I'm at.
I like it.
I think OneNote is better than the whiteboard app.
I want to see that in action.
Okay.
This thing's pretty responsive. It's pretty good.
Let me start installing Windows. Let's get to it.
So to update, we were going to do this miniature PC.
Yeah.
And then it has this little slot in the side.
This is for a digital signage computer,
Yes.
and it has like a slotted interface. I was like, you know what? This could probably...
Dude, that's perfect. Like, that is perfect.
It's amazing. So there's a grill down here for an air intake for that digital signage computer. I figure we just punch a hole in this TV. And
That way you can get all the power cables, HDMI. You can even tuck in the cables. So
completely hidden.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll just zip tie them all right here because it has its own cable routing. Like, this is out of control nice.
Look at that.
All right, so I think this handle's really in my way.
I mean, you can take the handle off.
Oh, fine. I was gonna not. Wait, will the drill fit inside the TV?
A DeWalt would. Just kidding.
No! That is an HDMI-sized hole.
Yeah, yeah. Do you, got any, like, a file or anything?
Yeah, I'm gonna clean it up. So we have another large leak over here on this side of the engine. I'm not sure where yet, but I pulled the power steering reservoir off, and I did a visual inspection while this was full of the coolant reservoir, because obviously these things love to break on almost every car, and I did not find it there. So let's start ripping into this a little bit more, and we're gonna start by taking off all of the intake and charge piping here. So I'm just gonna start ripping everything apart, and that should let us see a lot farther down into the engine bay, and then pull the timing belt cover off, and maybe we can pull that one off too and really see where that leak is over here. Time to pull the timing cover off of here. Of course, all the clips are gone, pretty standard. Something's holding that in. This coolant line here, it almost looks like it might be the leak. It is! I think that's the leak! No way! It's inside the valve cover and it's a broken off nipple. It looks like it's clean broke off. Well, anyway, here's our problem. That right there. Snapped off, it goes into the block, or into the head. Cool! So we're gonna build a pair of vice grips for the overflow. Let's see if I can get you a view inside here of what's going on. There's a literal fountain coming out of that thing. You can see the giant stream of water right there. All right, I created a nice sized lake underneath this thing. I'm gonna get the floor cleaner out now, vacuum up the giant puddle I made, and hopefully this thing stops dripping sometime soon. There was a lot of water I put through it. Anyway, after that, it's time to look for some parts. And it's gone. So maybe not as cheap as I thought 10 minutes ago. Josh came over and was like, yeah, that's aluminum. And I was like, that's plastic for sure. And then I scratched it and it is aluminum for sure. Now somebody's messed with this before. That's why this has fuel line instead of coolant hose on it. Obviously they messed with all of this because none of these clamps are what Volvo would be using. That's clearly aftermarket. We have to order this, which is really hard to get. No parts stores even have a part number for it. But I have found that heater hose with the weird fitting on it that these use, and then I think we can go to the hardware store and make this work. So that is it for today. Now we know what is wrong with my free Volvo XC90. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop.watchjargo.com where you can get cool shirts, not like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do. And I will talk to you next time. Well, it might still be a cheap fix. We might be able to keep it under $50, depending on the hardware store bill for the brass and shipping for that hose. Oh, and the battery. I guess the battery counts for something, but you just have to put a battery in every car. I don't count that at all. Like, every single car I pick up has to have a battery. It's just how it works out. So we're gonna try to keep it cheap and try to keep these things moving. And right now I better go get some paper towels and plug all of the boost out pipes and the turbo inlet pipes. Small additional note, no big deal or anything, but Josh was looking at the headliner and I was like, I should check the floorboard. Yeah. So that's expensive. I made a mistake. I bought this slider the other day thinking, man, it'd be cool to have a slider and do some cinematic stuff. Plastic track, magnetically sticks together, has its own power in the base and travels up and down it. Well, guess what? Instead, it just flexes and moves all the time when it's trying to slide through shock. That's not an ideal slider situation. I guess there's a reason they make them out of metal rails instead of plastic. But I guess it's supposed to be stabilized by your GoPro and not by like a real camera. So I'm using the Sony action cameras on it that don't have software stabilization, and the video is terrible out of it. So, oh, also you have to get the Bluetooth out every time. Like it won't repeat or do anything like that. It just turns on and does nothing until you fire up your phone. $200 well wasted. I didn't want to spend $800. So I guess if somebody wants to buy a slider, it's great.